you doing? According to the Russian news agency TASS, the Vice President Alexander Novak revealed the policy to restrict domestic companies from selling Russian crude oil to G7, setting oil price cap as a retaliation measure. So it will be enforced by the end of this year. And recently, G7, EU and Australia have set the oil price cap that was $60 per barrel to Russian crude oil that's going to be transported by sea as one of the economic sanction measures to Russia invading Ukraine. And even if Russia takes oil embargo measures against the oil price cap measure taken by G7, the effectivity of the oil price cap measure can be still alive, because this sanction has a measure to restrict Russian tankers from taking out insurance prior to marine oil transportation in terms of oil trading amount that exceeds the oil price cap. So if not taking insurance for marine oil transportation by tanker, there are huge risks when accidents happen in the sea, and Russian tankers with crude oil are likely to be rejected to go through a canal and sea route and enter into a port in a country. So for that reason, even if Russia tries to sell crude oil to other countries except for G7, Australia, and EU, if oil sales price exceed the oil price cap, Russia can trade oil with no country substantially. In the result, Russia will suffer huge economic toll in the early future. So in Bosporus Strait in Turkey, there are oftentimes long queues of tankers that don't present the insurance certificate prior to entering into the country. And the Coast Guard in Turkey rejects not insured tanker from entering into Turkey, right? A tanker with oil has a huge risk to bring serious damage on surrounding environment, so that they are not allowed to come through a certain sea route in the country if they are not insured for oil transportation in the sea, right? So that's not just Turkey thing. A country with neutral stance to Russia would not take trouble with huge risks to let Russian tankers with no insurance come in the sea territory of a country. So 90% of all transportation insurance is shared by Western insurance companies, centered on those in England, right? So as a matter of course, when Russia sells oil to other countries except for G7s, Australia and EU, it must keep the oil price cap. Otherwise, Russian tankers will never be able to make a contract of insurance substantially. So there are only two choices left to Russia, realistically, at this moment. It rejects the oil price cap, and Russian tankers just wander around the sea to look for a country that accepts Russia's trading. Or it turns over a new leaf and accepts the condition of the oil price cap to trade crude oil with other countries, as in the past. So this time, countries that officially join in the oil price cap are G7, EU, and Australia. But these countries, except for Japan, take oil embargo measure against Russia. So only Japan is subject to oil sales restriction as Russia's retaliation measures substantially. So, but although Japan takes no measure of oil embargo, there was no trading achievement with Russia on June and September and October this year, because Japanese companies refrained from trading oil with Russia these days. So Japan also don't suffer damage with Russia's retaliation measure this time. So the problem is how Russia's oil export amount for other countries except for G7s, EU and Australia will be shifted. So even if China and India don't join this oil price cap policy, it is possible to discount the oil price by taking advantage of this measure. And Russia may have to adjust the oil price lower than the oil price cap in order to take out insurance for oil transportation, right? But if Russia reduces oil export amount as a retaliation measure, there's a concern that oil price will go up in the world. So, and if Russia arrange other tankers, which is not Russians one, to export Russian oil to other countries, Russia's revenue will not reduce, and effect of this sanction will get balanced out.